Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Callum, and good morning, Patrick. It was very awaited time to catch up here on umbraCoffee. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, good. It's almost time for the weekend again.
Yeah,
Yet another Friday.
It's a public holiday here in the UK, and I think in Denmark and a couple other places too. So we're kind of in holiday mode. Or at least, as you were saying, Marcin, it's a nice quiet day for those that work with people in the UK.
Exactly. I always enjoy this kind of peaceful days with kind of less or no, almost zero meetings and just focused mode on doing and delivering a lot of things. And I'm glad that some people are here with us still. So good to have you here. And yeah, it's yet another Friday, but not a usual Friday, Callum, right? It's like you want to tell us something and tell us all something.
Yeah, well, as we've titled the episode, we've been axed. umbraCoffee's been axed. Yeah. Well, not quite in the sense.
I don't know if it's because of the Sidecore episode, Callum. I don't know. Still,
I think it might have been something that I said, unfortunately. So I've apologized to the people who I for what I said. But a couple of weeks back, I maybe revealed some news about Umbraco Uno a bit earlier than some people would have liked. And this week in the post, I got a nice letter from Kim offering me a role in their communications department if I ever want it, and a literal axe. It's a very lovely axe, may I add, but it's not something I was expecting to receive in the mail at all. And even better, my girlfriend is, of course, furious that we've now got a weapon in the house. But yeah, thank you very much.
I'm curious how it passed customs and all the taxes stuff.
It's very sharp. It's a very, very good axe. But thank you, Team Umbraco, and also I'm sorry to Vera, Bruno, anyone that worked on that Uno product announcement.
So right now it's a proper apologize then, and of course, but it's a good turnout. The job offer at Umbraco HQ, solid and a very sharp axe.
Yes,
so it's just
I don't
a
know
good
if that was
side
supposed to
effect.
be more of a threat than a gift. But I said to Kim, maybe we should start with like an internship in communication, so I can learn the skills, learn the ropes.
I think let's open the form. I would definitely sign up, and if leaks are a part of this kind of internship, I'm up for it as well. So it's a good sign and good stuff, and yeah, it's good that you have a fortunate axe, and you'll be ready for any kind of future communication and responses to communication as well.
Yes.
Cool. But yeah, it was of course a very packed week. We've just been speaking before going live here that everyone was doing as usual. So the busyness was a huge part of it, and of course in the Umbraco community as well. It's a fully packed week, and we can start probably from Umbraco product update. That was kind of it was released on April 13th, but so not that far away, and it highlights all of the changes that we partially talked about already, but some of them are kind of new. So upcoming releases of forms and deploy that we will be talking about in a while. Some hardcore updates. Also, they were highlighted in the last week's blog post with a lot of things there. New patch releases. Maybe we can touch this topic, and something interesting. Umbraco Courier end of life period. That's something what is I don't know if it's new or very drastic for many people, but still there is a lot of websites using it, right? There is a lot of websites still using it.
Let's not forget that Umbraco Courier hasn't worked on the latest version of Umbraco for the past 4 years now. Like it didn't work on 8. It just doesn't make sense that it's lasted this long even. So Umbraco Deploy is of course has superseded it. It's much better, and as you said, Marcin, we've got some release candidates this week, but Umbraco Deploy is one of those. Could you remember the last time we ever spoke about a Courier release on umbraCoffee? I don't think we probably ever have. So it's good to see a new version of that that's being driven forward by Andy and Ronald and the team that are working behind those. So,
yeah, but that's good. And Patrick, did you use Umbraco Courier in your experience?
No, that's even before my time actually.
I still remember the Umbraco 6 applications and installations where it was doing an amazing job, and still many clients, many people who were using Umbraco back in the days are asking for Courier alternative. So maybe communication like this is very very needed, because all of us needs to know that there is a predecessor of Umbraco Deploy now, and Umbraco Deploy is the thing to be announced, used, and communicated. So yeah, good to know it. And of course the security phase will come to an end. It come to an end already. And no longer no more updates, nothing, no more confusions with Umbraco Courier. Updates to the roadmap. I think this is something what we can talk for a while. New in now, so expanded CDN capabilities for cloud, two-factor authentication improvements for CMS itself, and telemetry and consent options for Umbraco CMS. Something what was discussed, something what was also communicated a while ago, but it's coming as a part of Umbraco 9.5. That is not far away. Its target release is on May 5th, so less than a month from now, and Umbraco 10. We've been discussing this topic with Umbraco CTO on the recent meetups and the various meetings. But we shouldn't be scared of Umbraco 10 and the next major number. It's not that big change as from 8 to 9, but it's here. It's coming on the. It was moved to the second quarter of this year, but it's there. There is even a product page that I haven't seen.
Yeah, it hasn't been moved. That's always been the target date. Something that Philip said. I'm trying to make sure we don't say anything we shouldn't say and get another axe in the post. But the release schedule on this is very predictable now. It's every 6 weeks, and that's the same with the majors. So take 6 weeks after May 5th, and that's your launch date for V10. Okay, maybe sometimes I'll have to push it by a week or so, but it's incredibly predictable. And something Philip did say, which I'm sure we're allowed to talk about, is that you're not going to be seeing any kind of big product announcements necessarily at Code Gardens and festivals and events going forward, because their roadmap is out in the open. They're working to a schedule. The schedule's well publicized, and they've got plans for what's going to go into Umbraco major versions, at least from a kind of theme point of view, all the way up till V13 at the minute. So a whole 2 years ahead, and then some longer term plans too. So there's no secrets anymore. There's not going to be a you arrive at Code Garden and they've announced some brand new version of Umbraco like that runs on
Umbraco X in between of versions.
It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
Which
I think good.
Is quite a good thing.
Yeah, I think it's
and again. We've been also asking the questions about confetti and all the other announcements, and still there's a lot of things to discuss. But having a predictable future of Umbraco, and here all the graphs of LTS supports, etc. So it's there. It's something what we can align to as well from the development and project perspective. So that's again mature and very very stable. And it's coming, so it's not something what we can decline also or avoid. And right now, when I'm talking, at least with a lot of projects and teams, they are already awaiting the magic moment that they can update. And there is a RC in the predictable period to come. If I remember correctly, it was 6 weeks before.
Exactly.
Release.
So we should get an RC about 6 weeks before. So that's about the time we get 9.15. We should get an RC for V10.
Yep.
And you can test all that.
Happy times. So that's an interesting update, and something what I also wanted to talk about is custom grid editors for Umbraco Hardcore, because that's very interesting. So headless products are receiving more interesting features from the CMS itself, and I believe that many of people were limited with some editorial experience in the hardcore and the headless products, and it's coming. So that's definitely will help for the Umbraco Hardcore to get some more traction of the users to migrate there. From the next phase, something what we discussed about project secrets and customizable project overview in Umbraco Cloud. So there is a lot of cloud and headless updates, and and that's cool. Umbraco speakers, did we talk?
There's
Probably
no
most of that
updates.
we discussed.
There's no updates yet on the Code Garden site, but I know a few people kind of unveiled on Twitter that they'd be speaking, but it's still the same list of those amazing community rock star people who are speaking. So I'm sure soon we'll see the official full list.
Patrick, are you going to Code Garden this year?
Yeah. So at first I thought, well, maybe not, maybe I will. But then we actually received an email from Umbraco itself, because last year was the first time MVP. So usually the first time MVP would get the free ticket, but because last year was only virtual, well, there wasn't really a point for a ticket. So we actually received a ticket this year to go there. So I'll probably be there because it's such I think, a cool experience to go to.
Yep. Yeah, you won't regret it.
Definitely. Cool then. So the next thing from this list was about the release of Umbraco Forms and Courier and deploy Courier. That's, too many mistakes today. But yeah, Umbraco Forms and Deploy, many new features in both. And I think the one I like the most here is like the import and export functionality for forms. So something what was really, really needed. And it will let us and all the projects right now to be able to even source control forms. So that's kind of a huge improvement. From your perspective, guys, do you think anything else is here worth or something game changing from your perspective?
No, not hugely.
No?
I think in pretty much every release of Deploy we've seen, there's been improvements to the way that comparisons work, and more often than not, that's been the crux of a lot of issues that we've had with Deploy and on Cloud, where it's not quite able to pick up differences between definitions or not correctly import things. So actually, this constantly improving that is just going to make our lives a little easier. Hopefully, to the point where we don't see deploy errors.
Again, I promised myself to play more with the deploy right now soon, and so definitely having I didn't use it since probably one of the initial releases, so the journey definitely improved, and now it seems like there's a lot of features like even partial restores, some configuration to be worked on, and also information, more details of what has changed, how it's changed, how it affected the content on the various environments. So I'm definitely going to check out how it works and how it's changed, and same with the culture and hostname, something what we always struggled with in between of environments, for example. So
I mean, when we do some stuff that on our projects that maybe requires routing to be set up in a specific way, and therefore requires a specific hostname to be applied to certain bits of the CMS. And it's always a bit of a problem when I had this yesterday, even someone cloning down a fresh project from Cloud and then having to go through a list of host names or specific things they need to go and add in the CMS. It would be amazing if those just pulled straight down from Cloud. So we're excited about that.
Exactly. So the public releases are on the end of the month, but we can already play with the release candidates of that. So it's there. Why not to use it? Community releases, and Patrick, of course, we've been highlighting your journey of creating the package, and there is also a release now officially of a lot of the things. So I will let you describe what it is, what it does, and why we were talking about it for the time. So what it is.
Just also share my screen if that's fine, then we can also
you can
go through it. Let me see. Should be the correct screen.
Yes,
Perfect. Yeah, so the SEO Toolkit. So this is a project that I've been working on for quite some time now. I think I even started it like last year and then took a bit time off and then came back to it. But the idea that I had was that in the company that I worked at, every time we would have to create the SEO functionality again, which was a bit time consuming sometimes and it wasn't very handy. On the end, we did have a little framework where we can do those easily, but then we still had some issues where sometimes the client would ask, oh, I want this specific field to fall back to be used for example, the title tag or the meta description, or perhaps in the sitemap they want the priority set to 0.8 instead of 0.5, and every time we would have to go back into the code and actually change that. While it's such a small change, you would think, well, let's just do it in the CMS itself, or even let the client do it, so we don't have to take time from them and use their money to change such a small thing. So what I thought, well, let's just see if I can have the SEO functionalities and build a nice little interface around it. So in the package, if you download it, it will then show you a new section called SEO Toolkit. When you go to it, it will give you a little welcome and also show you what functionalities are installed. So when working on the package, I also try to get some community feedback for some major things. And one of the things was, would people rather have small packages or have like one use package? And I think most people said, well, we would rather have like the smaller functionalities in different packages. So that's something that SEO Toolkit also does. It's just also why there are so many packages on Umbraco right now for the SEO Toolkit. It's because each functionality has its own package. And that way you can just basically customize whatever you want. For example, you only want to use the redirects package. Well, you're able to do that. You can just download it. You still get this section and it just works out of the box. Or you just say, well, I want everything. And I just download the package and I get all the functionalities.
Or not use redirects package, because, for example, we can use another package just for redirects in this case. And I think we've been also discussing the same stuff here, Callum, a couple of weeks ago. It's like one big package or a couple small puzzles bundles within the bigger package, maybe shipping it all. That's so it's great that this is in work and it works for you and the use cases. We all liked it that very much. So.
Very much, yeah.
Yeah, so then also we had the thing, well, if you just download the SEO Toolkit, you will get all the packages anyway, so maybe you want to disable them. So in the SEO Toolkit, you can also disable certain functionalities that you want or disable certain parts of the package. For example, in the company that I work at, we already have logic for the sitemap generation. So we don't really need it from the package itself. So what we can do is, I can disable the middleware for the sitemap and just put my own middleware in it. So you can customize a lot of things in SEO Toolkit, which I think is quite nice to have, because I'm sure most companies already have like parts of these available and probably don't want to use all of it. So I think it's.
I don't want to go too technical, but from the code perspective, did you use any kind of just flags from the settings, or did you try to think even about maybe higher level package dependencies, disables or enables or feature toggles, anything like that, or it's simple?
No, it's not very advanced. It's just an array with some strings where it says, I want to disable the middleware, and then it will not inject those services
that's the exact
and stuff.
Approach that UseSync takes for those sorts of things as well. So I think it's
interesting.
It's a pretty tried and tested approach.
Yeah, and simple is perfect. That's why I'm also asking, because it might be overcomplicated sometimes and
true.
harder to manage, and it seems like it just does the job, and that's the most important fact. Cool.
And then we have a lot of functionality. So there are some smaller ones, some bigger ones. So what I will start with is a script manager. So what we usually have is sometimes the client will be like, I want to add a certain script to the website. Sometimes we already have Google Tag Manager enabled, so then we'll just tell them, go to Google Tag Manager and do it there. Sometimes we don't have that, and then we're like, oh well, then we have to deploy something again. So what I created is the ability to create script definitions. So you can say, oh, I have a script of type Google Tag Manager, Google Analytics.
Yes.
Whenever you click on it, it will show you configuration based on that script type. For Google Tag Manager, it would have a code, Google Analytics, property ID, and also the ability to just add your own script wherever you want. This way, the client themselves or we can easily put scripts on the website instead of having to go through the whole development process.
Yeah. All the Facebook pixels tracking scripts, everything like that.
We're big fans of exactly that, not exposing necessarily the ability for a client just to add anything that they want to site headers. I've had it before where a client didn't want to pay for some of our development time and got someone to chuck a bunch of like CSS into tag management style. It's like, no, please don't do that. Please.
Yeah, you gotta have some control over it.
Yeah, you want to have some control, and it's a bit more friendly for a user to go set up or change when they make that request, to point them to a field in the CMS. So I really love this thing. And can we register our own definition types?
Yeah, I have to. Let me see if I can quickly find the code of that.
To be honest, I even played with the WordPress tool for exactly the same purposes today. It's called Tracking Manager or Tracking Script Manager, and it does just this functionality. And it's one of the most popular packages on WordPress, by the way. So just this small part of it is just for a very huge usage, and I'm sure it will be used a lot in Umbraco installations now.
Oh, wait, I have to change my screen then if you want to see it. One second.
Props.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, Audit back.
So the script definition itself is just I need to implement a certain interface, which will then tell you, oh, well, you need a name, you need an alias, you can add configuration fields. So these are the different configurations that you can have for your script definition. I kind of took this from the contentment package because they do the same thing with the data list, I believe. They also have the configuration fields there. And then it's basically just, oh, well, I have a render here, which will give you all the configs. And then you can say, well, I want to add a certain script on my head button. And in this case, I have all the different snippets I have in a views folder. So even if you want to, you can even change them.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, in a body top, I then have this Google Tag Manager, which is strongly typed, which is nice. At first, I had some weird string builder stuff, which I wasn't very happy about. This is a lot more friendly to work with.
Yep, definitely.
Cool.
Okay, let me go back to the other screen then again.
Yeah. This is very handy. I would definitely use that, and I'm just curious how it can be processed later on. But I would definitely dive into the code because we want to mention it's open source, right? It's all open source, and everyone can just check it out and definitely learn from small parts of it.
Yeah, there's a lot of code in there. So if someone has a question, you can always reach out to me. But yeah, it's all open source. If you want to see the code, you're free to do that. You can run it as well. So I hope I will be able to help someone with that. Then we also have some functionality for the robots.txt. So usually what we would do is we would put somewhere on the website, we would have a text area, and then we would have some middleware that reaches out to the text area and just show it to the user. I thought it would be nice to just have it on the same, have all the SEO specific things on one page. So here you can just type whatever you want. There is some validation here. So if I would want to use this, it will say, oh, well, this line, this syntax isn't very supported by robots.txt.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's always been my criticism. Of course, I've got a similar robots.txt package, but it's all config based. And my criticism of this approach with having, as you say, a text area somewhere in settings was people can put anything in there, and it's generally hasn't been validated, and that could really negatively impact your SEO. So it's fantastic to see you doing robots.txt validation here.
it's very nice to have, especially for like users that are not very familiar with robots.txt. It just allows them to know that they're not putting any invalid data in there. Eventually, I would like to have some like helpers for the user, some shortcuts, so they could say, oh, I want to disallow these pages in the as nodes, and then the system should automatically disallow those in the robots.txt, which would be very nice, because I think most people that are running the website, like the robots.txt is a lot more technical than most of the things on the website, I believe. So any way we can help them is probably good.
Yeah, for sure. The only challenge here probably would be with all the installations where there are microsites or many sites.
I was actually going to ask, with all of these, how would you handle multi-site setups?
Yep.
It currently doesn't.
That's the real challenge, and one of the first feature requests I would have to you and this package, because it would be lovely to be able to attach the processors with, and again, the question is domains, nodes in the Umbraco installation. No one knows, right? Because that's the tricky part of it, and the same struggle every time when we work with the multi website solutions on the same installation.
Yeah, I think you're right, Marcin. A domain picker is probably the only way you could do that reliably.
Host names
based on the host names you find in the CMS.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Well, nice issue to be picked up.
I will create one. And let's think about it. Maybe there are some people, and again, call to action for people watching us today. How did you solve that? Because I'm sure that everyone, and maybe not everyone, but all of the people who were building the many microsites within the same installation were struggling with the same issues. So let's maybe collectively collect the ideas and do something clever with it.
Perfect. Let me continue to the redirects. So for the redirects, I also work on the simple redirects package. So I was able to pick most of the logic from there to here, and also fix some of the pains I had with the simple redirects package. So there were a few things with simple redirects that I wasn't very happy about. For example, because in simple redirects we let you create redirects inline, sort of. We don't have a panel that slides open where you can configure it, which kind of makes it so that you don't have I can't really add a lot of configuration there. So with this, I have, whenever you create redirect, it will open the panel up, which allows me to have a lot more configuration for the user. So what I have is, you have a domain. So this does support multi-site. Nice. Here you can select all sites. If you have any domain set up in Umbraco, which this installation doesn't have, it will also show those domains here. Or you can choose to have a custom domain, because sometimes we have a client that goes from, which comes to us and basically transfers the website from domain A to B. And because the first domain isn't in Umbraco, but you would still want the redirects to actually work there, because they will still point to the same website. You can add a custom domain here. Then we also have the from URL, which is a relative URL to show basically, show you what URL the redirect has to start from. You can select whether it's a URL or a regex. So if you want to do multiple redirects at once with the regex, for example, a whole section of your website, you can do that. And then we have where is the URL going to, and this one is quite good, I think. It's an improvement from what I have on Simple Redirects now. Is you can choose between 3 types. So on Simple Redirects, it's always a string that you go to. Whilst this one, you can either put a string, or you can choose content. So for example, I would maybe want contact, which does support multiple languages.
That's good.
Or you want it to point to like a media file. For example, if I choose the contact, submit it, it will then show the user what the actual URL is here. And then the last one is quite basic. It's just, do you want a 301 or a 302 as your status code?
That's very cool. It's good to see. Funny how we were just discussing multi-site, and you've basically got different domains, which you kind of expect for redirects, but that looks like an awesome solution for elsewhere as well. You mentioned simple redirects. I was going to ask, there's no V9 version of simple redirects. That's purely for V8. Your version is purely for V8.
It's also on V9 already.
Oh, it is it?
Yeah.
I've clearly not been kept up to date. But do you see this as superseding simple redirects, or is it a compatible solution? You could choose either or.
In my opinion, this is probably the better solution. But I also said in one of my blog posts that I'm still going to continue on the simple redirects one as well. Mostly because the code base is quite similar. So I'm hoping that if I ever do improvements to the one, I can also do them to the other one, which might be a bit counterintuitive to have both of them. But I think they both serve different users, I guess. One is really just only redirects, which are very simple. You don't have the extra configuration, which might be handy for someone, and maybe for other people this would be handier. Not 100% sure on it. Probably time will tell what the better option is.
Let the users decide, I guess.
Yeah.
And what the site audit section is responsible
this
for.
It's a feature that isn't quite working yet. It isn't in the actual package. This is something I'm still working on, but I can quickly show it. So what we usually have is we would like to have an audit going over the website to check, are there any broken links? Are there any title text missing? That sort of things. So what I created is you can start an audit. So let's say I call this umbraCoffee. I can select a starting node. So I want to say, I want to start on the home page. I can say how many pages I have to crawl. So let's say I want to crawl 20 pages max. I can leave it empty for no maximum. And I can tell how quickly it should go into seconds to kind of reduce the impact on the server. So maybe 1 second. And then on the right, you have some checks, and you can enable or disable them. So for example, maybe I don't want the broken image check here, or maybe description check, so I can turn them off. And then I can create a start it and hope this is going to work. So it will schedule the site audit in the back, in the background task.
But do you use any external tool or platform to verify it, or it's purely markup checks and validation done in the code directly?
Yeah, it's directly in the code for this.
Because I was thinking on using any kind of, there are third-party solutions and tools doing exactly the same audits, and it's very handy to have it. I still, again, maybe it's too many references to WordPress, but again, WordPress SEO packages are extremely awesome, and I know a lot of people who are turning from WordPress to Umbraco are missing them, all the SEO. I can't remember the name of it right now, but there are some toolkits like this, checking it on every page as a content apps. They are doing exactly the same validation, and for all the SEO maniacs, I would say it's like a must-have, which is missing.
I was going to say that if that list of actions could be pluggable, and maybe you thought of that, then you could plug external services in there anyway, couldn't you?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, currently it's all the checks are configured in code, so you can, if you have some custom ones, you can add them there. So it's quite nice to have. The only thing that I'm still looking at, or at least a bit worried about, is because you're running this on the website itself, it could have an impact on your website while it's running, especially for the larger websites. So I haven't quite decided on how to do that.
But that's great, and it highlights you the missing points on this as in errors, right?
Yeah. So it's now running. It feels a bit slow, but it does give some results back with Signal R. So you get instant feedback, and then you can see here a summary. Oh, your site has 5 invalid titles. I can click on it, and it will show you which pages actually have that error. I can also go to all checks to see. Okay, well. There's nothing found for the broken link. There's nothing found for the missing image alt check. But it does have that 5 errors for the missing title.
Wow. That's really, really cool.
Yeah.
Really cool.
But it also relates back to the source of the package, like a meta title set, because these are also attached to the documents, right? So you can configure them, you can expose them to editors, and of course they are content managed from the document types itself, right?
Yeah.
And that's cool, and that's I completely missed this audits feature, but I understand that this is work in the making. So
Yeah. A little
that's
preview.
yeah, that's really great. Very cool.
Yeah, so we still have 2 functionalities,
Whoa!
but they are
You've done everything.
yeah, there's quite a lot of things in there. So just quickly go through them. So they are not in here. So they are on the overview here. They are the meta fields and the sitemap. And where I put those are on the document types itself. So if I go to, for example, the homepage, there's a little tab here called SEO. And you can click here, and by default, it's disabled. You will see this. And you can then enable it. So what the idea behind this is you always have some configuration that's like is only for a certain document type. So for example, what fields should be checked for your description tag, or what the settings are for the sitemap. So I'll just start with the sitemap as it's a bit smaller. So for the sitemap, we have like 3 settings. We can say, I want the home to be hidden from the sitemap, or like at least all nodes that are of this document type. I can set the change frequency, and I can set the priority. And this way, the user can easily do this themselves, or because it's in the document types, it could also be integrated in like the workflow that the developer goes through. So whenever they create a new page, they also have to fill this in.
So is it a composition or set of compositions attached to the document type in this case, or?
No, it's totally.
You've got a context tab there with all of the settings in.
Okay.
It took me a little moment to realize that actually that was in a separate thing there.
Oh yeah.
It's not a default place to look at in the settings section yet, right? But it's changing, and that's again, Patrick, you're an early adopter of the most recent features here. So that's really cool.
Are these fields then also, can they be editable from individual documents? Like
not yet, but that is the idea in the like in the long run.
So it's a content type level setting.
Yeah, correct. And then we also have the meta fields, which are a bit bigger functionality. So we have the title tag, the meta description, and what you can do is, for example, the title. I can say I want it to fall back to different fields. So whenever it has to get the value for the title field, it should first look at a field called title, which is just a normal property editor on the home page. If that's empty, it will check the subtitle. If that's empty, it will check the meta description and just go down. And then we also have the page name, which is the normal name you set to the page. You can reorder this if you want. You can add new ones if I have any in there. So you have a lot of control over how you want this to be set up. How this works in the backend is a little bit complicated, but it will basically just check, for title, I can use these property editors of a certain type. So for example, I only check umbraco.textbox and umbraco.text area for the title. But for the open graph image, it only checks the media pickers. So in here, it will have the main image that you can choose instead of all the other fields that you had previously.
Okay. So there's no way I can set a text field as my image, for example.
Yeah, correct.
Very smart.
And then after you have set this up on the content side, it will also display a context app here with the SEO. And here it will show you what values are then set for this specific page. So the title is now coming from the title here. And the same for like the open graph and the canonical URL. If the user then decides, the values I see here aren't correct, you can also edit them. So in this case, I already overrode the open graph image, but I can also say, I want the title to be test. And I can save it, and then the title is actually test instead of the value that's picked from the node itself.
That's cool.
So it can be edited per document. Per
another
content
feature
page.
request for you then, Patrick. This looks really cool. This looks really, really cool. Yeah, a preview. I'd love it. I'd love like a Google style, result displayed there just to show what it would look like, or a Twitter card example or something like that.
Yeah, I know. It's one of the things that is also on the list.
Just to create a bit more work for you.
Yeah, of course.
This looks
more blog posts to come.
This looks truly fantastic. How long has this taken you? So I know you've been working on this for quite a while. We've spoken about it before, but how long have you spent on this?
Probably too much.
Honest answer. I would be surprised if you would say, 10 hours. That's it's just
only
divided into a couple of times.
Like I started with the idea somewhere last year, and then I think I worked on it a few months. So I got the meta fields and part of the site audit done, and then I think start of this year I decided, well, I'm just gonna finish it, and so then the other functionalities came in there. So probably, I don't know, maybe half a year or something.
Nice.
But it looks like a lot of work.
It looks great. It looks great, and definitely it's a lot of work placed into that. And again, it's open source, so everyone can just browse it and see it. And maybe that's also worth to mention that all of them are available on our as well to be downloaded, but also on the .NET NuGet repositories. So everyone can play around and they can check it out. All of the packages divided, each single functionality. Great work here, and yeah, thanks for sharing it for sure with us, because again, a lot of ideas, a lot of inspiration, a lot of features requests from our, I would say, daily struggles, and I'm sure that people will bring you more work to do. Definitely will. And again, you use it for some of the projects already in production, or it's still work that you are exploring on more local environments so far?
Yeah, so now I did a little demo for my company this Wednesday, and we've decided, well, there are still a few points that we want to pick up first, and then we're going to use it in our project as well.
Nice. So yeah, I'm sure people who are watching our today's episode will play around with it and hope and help you explore and find maybe potential not only issues, but maybe potential upgrades and extensions. And yeah, as it's open source, everyone is welcome probably to contribute back as well and help you evolve these big packages. And extremely good work. And I definitely need to play around with it and show it for the teams that are always struggling with the same kind of functionalities and challenges. Good stuff.
It's great to have, especially because it's open source. Whenever I now make a new package, I always have like the SEO Toolkit open the source code somewhere else, because there are a lot of things that are related to packages that I can just, I forgot how to do something like migrations or something. I'll just pick SEO Toolkit and see how it works.
I use a lot of my packages as reference points for not just doing stuff with packages, but in projects as well, maybe more custom things to do with projects. And I've said this before, but contentment and USync are all fantastic examples too.
Yeah.
Like living documentation of how some of these things can work.
Yeah. And you have also the documentation part that is worth to mention, because there's a lot of information how to use it there. I checked last time, and I kind of like again the amount of work placed into also documenting how to use it is crazy. And yesterday, I don't know if you've seen the meme flying over Reddit and Twitter. It was like, okay, my work is done here. My code is done. Okay, cool. Where is your documentation? And the person disappears. so here you didn't disappear, and the documentation is here as well. So yeah, good stuff, great work, and yeah, high five, you rock, from everyone who will benefit from it. Cool, great demo as well, and we also have another package, kind of showing us what else can be done with some crazy Umbraco extensions. And this is from Matt and his construct package, and here it's a field views for construct, and it's an experiment feature for more enhanced and rich table views. And
so this is actually rendering like a view component, I believe, in line in the table in the back office, which, as Matt's acknowledged himself, kind of a bit dangerous. You could do all kinds of things within one of those, but really, really powerful.
Really useful.
I love this progress bar example. as something.
Processes, workflows, all of the use cases that can benefit from it. Same with data completion, for example. All of it is for the custom data, custom sections in Umbraco. And I've mentioned it back in a while. I used Fluidity and the previous the packages for custom tables and registrations processes for the students. I see it right now, even more visual. And the questions from Lars about buttons out there was also very interesting, because of course, yes, it's possible. Matt also proved it as a part of this kind of demo exploration. So yeah, very, very handy, very cool extension for the various fields views, and of course it's all connected to the custom database table. So it's enormous opportunities to extend Umbraco with this kind of views, and it's all documented as well already out there. Huge. I don't know if it's already a race for the Umbraco awards for the packages or not yet, because
Well,
that's
I mean, Constructors, of course, it's commercial, so there's different categories that you can win in, but it's a very high quality project. I was going to say, I think your SEO Toolkit's a very good example as well there, Patrick.
Is it already nominated, Patrick, or not yet?
Not yet. I did nominate some other packages, and also because this year you can nominate contributors. I also nominated some people that I think, well, they worked a lot on open source packages, so I think they deserve the recognition for that.
Yeah, that's exactly what we wanted to also discuss today, because there is a package awards as usual on the Code Garden, and this year is not different. Everyone can nominate the package and package contributors, as you mentioned. The submission form is here on the Umbraco website, and as every other link, we'll also link it up in the episode description. So if you haven't seen it, just go there and ensure that whoever helped you or whichever package helped you as well in the last year, and maybe change the way of you working with Umbraco, let's nominate them to be considered as a potential winners, and the winners will be announced on the Code Garden itself
on Friday. I was going to say on this, there's only a week, so you have till next Friday. Midday but even before umbraCoffee next Friday to get your submissions in. Super tight deadline on this one. So
especially because of an Easter, of course.
Yes.
In between.
Do not forget, you'll be in holiday. At least for us, we're in holiday mode until Tuesday. So that gives us 2 working days. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then like 2 hours on Friday morning to actually come up with some submissions here. So. Yeah, don't forget.
And this year I already mastered missing deadlines a lot, so I need to improve myself, and that's the call to action for all of us. Don't forget about it. It's very important to gather nominees for being considered, because then awards are reaching out to people who really deserve them, and it's up to us as a community to really find out and provide all of the potential nominees, because it's impossible to keep an eye on everyone and everything what's happening. Even we are trying to do that every week, but I think we are still missing a lot of the interesting stuff out there. Let's do that. Call to action. If you are watching us today, especially the day off in UK, maybe somewhere else as well, spend 5-10 minutes to submit the form. It's a very extremely short form to submit. And we are definitely looking forward to all of the awards and nominations, because it's a massive inspiration for all of us to build something more crazy. And Patrick, you definitely fully deserve the nomination here. So fingers crossed for you as well in this competition.
We will see.
Yeah. And that's from this perspective. Community-wise, a really interesting news that was also heavily discussed on Twitter was this map, the map of communities, the .NET communities in the UK, and our clever community members already seen a lot of Umbraco dots on the map out there, and it's really great to see this being present. And there's a lot of things and a lot of communities, of course, going on, and all of them, fortunately, are coming slowly back to life. Real life, I would say. So that's great to see as well. And yeah, definitely more of the communities, more of the local initiatives to come and to be present there. So I don't know, Callum, if all of the Bean Hubs groups are present there or not yet.
No, there was a few. So I tweeted Adam when he posted this, just saying it would be fantastic to see all these other ones on there. And he said he's working through adding them. So there was definitely London, Leeds, and Glasgow on there at the start. But I think we'll see some more. There's actually a filter, so you can see in that screenshot there's an all technologies drop down, and right at the bottom there is an Umbraco option on the map, so you can filter all the Umbraco meetups there too. Nice.
Really useful tool to find out what's going on around you. So check it out if you missed that. Training wise and Umbraco certification wise, Dennis, one of our recent mentioned community member, got certified on the master level on Umbraco V9 version. So it's early adopter of the courses that are here with us, not for a long time. But Dennis shared how it looks, how the path was going to him for him, and how stressful it was, or not stressful maybe. So it's really good to see that someone already passed all of the tests, and everyone who probably wants to upgrade the certifications to the master, or maybe not even master level, but general to V9. Using the bridge courses can benefit from this journey being shared here. I haven't done it myself yet.
First insight we've had into what these master and the bridging courses are like, and this new master certification course. And my goodness, 60 questions. So we used to thought it being 20 questions, and they were pretty easy. You generally get tripped up by some really bad wording and whatever else, but 60 questions is a lot. It's a lot. And Dennis is obviously a very, very talented person. He got 51, which makes me a little bit worried because I guess it's good to see that the bar has been set a bit higher with some of these Umbraco certifications in the past. And I know that when I did my first fundamentals course, it was level 1 back then on V6, and Doug would walk around the room and people were doing the test going, like raising an eyebrow if they moved their mouse too close to maybe the wrong answer. It's definitely not that easy anymore. And it just puts them a little bit more on a par with some of the other types of certification.
Yeah, and again, coming to the realization that we are more online than ever right now. It's like it really needs to verify the skills. Ideally, it's not only about sitting in the group and just ensuring that we know what's going on out there. It's more hard now. And I still remember Ismail, who was one of the authors of the test, and he didn't get 100% answers for his own test at some point. So
that's the searching one.
That was the search. It was very tough. And Patrick, did you take any of the certification courses in the recent times, or?
No, not for V9 yet. I did a few for V8. And I still have to take a look at what the V9s are, and if I'm actually going to do them, because there are some that are probably good to take, especially now that for V8 the questions were quite easy. So I'm quite wondering how difficult these actually are.
Yeah, I mean, I did all of the bridging. I shouldn't say this. I'm going to get sent another axe, but okay. I did all of the bridging courses for V8 because I've been working a lot with V8 and I've been deep in the source code, and I was very familiar when the bridging courses came around. I did them all in a half-an-hour train journey, as in all 5 tests in a half-an-hour train journey with a beer, coming back from working with a client, and they were. It was relatively easy for someone who'd been exposed to all the things that they were talking about. I didn't go through any of the material. Sorry, probably should have. But you
were working it on a daily basis, so that's kind of a fair.
But 60 questions about Umbraco 9. I'm not sure if I can handle that. I'm not sure.
We will definitely figure it out. We will figure it out, Callum. We need to check it. And I'm also really looking forward to passing them and also ensuring my kind of lack of knowledge on the V9 and .NET Core areas. And right now there is an offer for it as well. So for whoever wants to upgrade themselves or just attend the V9 courses, there's a 25% off. Yeah, 25% off until May 6th. Probably, and this page really nice described the whole transition offer for all the certified people across our community. And if you haven't followed the upgrades of the trainings or the courses or the new certification paths. It's really well described here, and yeah. Just check it out. See if you want to upgrade your skills and use the offer to save some money if you are interested in it. Cool. Couple more news to come and to announce. Uskind version 9 demo and walkthrough with Paul Seal on his YouTube channel. Every Uskind fan or maybe someone who wants to just see it in action without installing it and checking it can benefit from it and see how Paul describes how to make it work. Also in the combination of Umbraco Cloud, so to just prove maybe that it's also compatible with Umbraco Cloud. Great demo, great walkthrough, and with all the features, all the components of all the potentials of the Uskind ready for the new version 9 on cloud. And one interesting announcement from Umbraco and DXP area. Am I frozen? Is my camera frozen?
No, you're here.
Of course.
Oh, you are frozen. You are frozen.
Yeah. So I will stop and start my cam. Didn't help. But the Shopify integration and DXP integration. So something what we kind of explored and discussed a while ago. And I kind of like this very much because I was exploring Shopify. I don't know how about you guys, but I was exploring some e-commerce opportunities, comparing it with other providers. And it's so good to see this kind of extensions and entry points. And Callum, we've been talking about it last week. That's all of the code, all of the integrations are there for us to also learn and see how we can basically integrate with this kind of tools, or how we can extend integration. So
yeah,
really,
exactly.
really good to see
because
that.
And Umbraco are going to do a lot of work to make sure that those are, well, they're all open source already, but make sure that those are approachable and maybe have reusable bits in there that we can use in our own packages too. So.
Yeah, so good to see that. And a great blog post describing the whole integration again. And last but not least, some GitHub updates. Callum, you found a really interesting upgrades of some of the area on GitHub. And I must say, I'm not using GitHub anymore that much outside of the open source contributions.
What are you using, Marcin? Are you an Atlassian house?
Yes, unfortunately this week, right? Because they were having some outages and issues.
See what's been going on with some of the Atlassian products.
We weren't that much affected because Bitbucket was standing still for most of the time. But
if you're using their cloud versions, it's fine. But it's when it's people who had like enterprise environments that got totally wiped out by the story goes on Twitter. They ran a script to go clean up some data and ended up erasing 400 customers worth of data, environments at the lot, and then they've had the painstaking process of trying to recover back from backups, which of course any service like that would have, but it just takes time. And there's been people without access to their Jira backlogs or anything for over a week, which is
not the best week for Atlassian for sure. And Patrick, what stack or what suite do you use mostly for repositories and continuous integration? Is it GitHub?
We also have the Atlassian stack for like the Jira and the Confluence, but then we have the DevOps for our code, which all runs, no problem.
So code is on Azure DevOps then, on the repos there. Okay, so partially affected then, because I kind of like some of the products, but I miss GitHub, and I miss all of these kind of interesting announcements and improvements that GitHub is definitely ruling in the market. So this is for the discussions, and discussions was kind of a new product announced not that far away in time, but it's already getting a lot of new features, and discussions right now are open for organizations and discussions for the teams and general. So it's really useful stuff, and I, as I said, I miss it, and there's a lot of really cool stuff out there, polls, discussions, really very, very cool stuff. And Callum, do you use discussions a lot in your?
We haven't. No, I've not used it on anything other than open source projects. But now this is part of. We can put it at an org level. It makes a lot of sense for us. We've been slowly looking to move more and more of our kind of company infrastructure, documentation, etc., onto GitHub. Having a company wiki there. We're looking to use GitHub projects going forward for project management stuff. Keeping Trello for client-facing things, but actually just moving everything we were using Trello for into GitHub. So we're almost going all in on this, and this is just another awesome cherry on top for us. I think we probably use this.
Usually, the biggest stopping point was the creation of GitHub account for people who are not coders or not technical, and right now it might got reduced as well, because more people would love to use it and would love to enter the platform, and they will need to create the profile, not only for coding and storing their code, but also being active on discussions. Another thing is dependable updates, and still it was very useful tool for reminding us how dangerous is not updating dependencies and tools in our solutions, and also doing some work for us as well in the past, because there were some automated updates possible using the alerts and dependables, and here it's getting improved, and there are some more detailed views of what
will
is
actually
affected.
pinpoint the exact line of code that you call that maybe depends on a package that then has a vulnerability in that, which is truly incredible.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Yeah. Really crazy. And again, for all of us, this kind of information, this kind of automation is gold, because it's impossible again to track everything and be on top of everything. So any kind of alerts like this will save us from being exposed for more issues. And last but not least, something what I like them very much is like being able to rename our forks when we create something. And still, I don't know how about you guys, but whenever I was forking a lot of repositories in the past, it was so extremely hard to find them out. Why I forked it, for what I forked it, and why I have it. So right now, at least I can rename and name my repo as I wanted, even as a backup or something like that. So yeah. It wasn't possible, and now it is. So that's very cool, small stuff. So yeah, that's it for all the announcements this week. A lot, plus a great demo from you, Patrick. So definitely a lot to catch up for people who missed it today online and live. But as usual, we'll keep it on YouTube. It will be on YouTube with all the links available down below. And yeah, as usual, we will have a final call to action for all of our great watchers, viewers, subscribers. Just subscribe, like, share it with your friends, families, WordPress and Sidecar communities as well, because today we were talking about WordPress a lot, so why not?
Yes.
And of course, still we have a month, almost exactly a month till. No, 2 months till
2 months. 2 months today is the start of Code Garden.
Yes, exactly.
And 1 week today is the end of the early bird tickets. So if you're going to get your ticket, get one now. But yeah, we are 2 months away from Code Garden to the day, which is really exciting.
Yeah, and so many subscribers to find out.
How many more have we got to get? Is it like,
I don't know.
It's 257 subscribers before Code
We
Garden.
definitely need to reach out to WordPress and Sidecar communities
I'm
for us.
stand in the street with a clipboard and make people sign up.
Yeah, but that's our challenge. We'll be fine if we won't make it, but help us if you can. If you're not seeing the gray button that's called subscribe, make it gray by clicking it, and we'll see each other on the next Friday as usual. And thanks, Patrick, for joining us. Hope to see you on Code Garden and deliver you a very well-deserved umbraCoffee mug. And all the other gadgets, and yeah, keep it up. Keep it up with your great work, and keep us busy with announcing all of the great improvements for your package, and maybe more packages to come. And yeah, that was it today. Have a great.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, have a great rest of the day, and happy Easter, everyone. And enjoy the break, Callum, as well. And see you all next week.